Can you hear me now? Ah, right, there we go. Things are bouncing up and down now. Good. Good, that's a promising sign. Can't see me because the stream scene isn't chosen yet. Hello, Sarcastic Monkey. Rearrange things on the screen so I can actually see things. It's been a while since I've done one of these. You have to bear with me a little bit. Right, how do we change that? There we are. There we are. Right, okay. I can see stuff on my desk. I can see my hands. This is a good sign. I can see a Sarcastic Monkey in the channel. Is anyone else there? Sarcastic Monkey, can you hear me? I'll put this to one side. This is not the subject of tonight's live stream. However, it is very cool. And a lot of fun. Sarcastic Monkey, you haven't responded, so I'm guessing you can't hear me. Anyone else that can hear me? Hello? Hello? Well, this isn't very good, is it? Anyway, we'll press on. I'm assuming since the red line on my voice audio is bouncing up and down that I am actually transmitting. Let me just quickly ask in chat. Whether I can be heard. Huh. Well, okay, that's kind of worrying. Let me see. I can tune into my own live stream and see if I am, in fact, transmitting. Huh. What about now? No? Yes, no, fish? No? Hello, hello. Testing, testing. Oh, you can hear me now. Good. Right, okay. Don't know what the problem was now. However, we'll press on. Possibly sound a little bit different now because I'm using a different microphone. Out of interest, does this sound better or worse than I normally sound? This is the interesting thing. just start painting. Is that the thing? Right, okay, I need a decenter paintbrush. New paintbrush, number 4. Dip that in water. Yep, there is stuff. Yes, loud and clear. Good, good, good. Excellent. Right. Right, we like loud and clear. Loud and clear is good. Okay, right. So where we left this guy, I think we've done some chipping on him, haven't we? I can tell that because he's chipped. I think what we're going to do is I don't particularly like the finish on that, so I'm going to apply a little bit of Garagax sewer. But first, yes, I'm exactly that juvenile. What was not live? Am I not what? Eh? Am I live now? Oh, right, your YouTube wasn't. Right, okay. Right, okay. So we're just gonna get some red around the ends of the guns here, because I think that will probably add to the oops. New brush. There's a little bit of a strand on the end of it, so we're just going to nip that off. Now, Monkey, I don't know whether you've got contrast paints, but if you haven't, I highly suggest investing in them. They make life much easier. I know people say they're cheating, but they're really not. So we were discussing glazing in Discord earlier, weren't we? They're a lot easier. Glazes are a lot easier to pull off with contrast paint, I find. Because the contrast paints are semi-transparent as it is. How are we doing anyway? It's been a while. I've been away. I've been busy at work. I've had head issues. Not major head issues, just, you know, general background head issues, anxiety, stress, what have you, which has prevented me live streaming for a bit. But, you know, I think I needed a break anyway, at least for a little bit. Recharge the old batteries, and I've had a chance to do that, which is good. Which is why I'm here tonight, trying to pick up where I left off about a month ago, because it probably has been that long, hasn't it? First completed squad. Yeah, I saw that. They're looking really good. Should be probably proud of them. For anyone wondering what Sarcastic Monkey's up to, he's painting. It's a squad a month, isn't it? 250 points a month for a challenge stroke. Well, not really a challenge, sort of a mini challenge, I suppose, on Say Hi Paul's channel. And he's coming along great guns. Great guns. So if you want to see what he's up to, you can, I mean, he posts his stuff on my Discord as well, so you can join my Discord, that'd be great. Or you can head over to Say Hi Paul's channel and join his channel, which I think costs, what? Well, it's £2. I don't know what that is in proper money these days. Probably about 50 US cents or 25 euro cents by now, I would have thought. Join his channel, get into his Discord, and you too can take part in the 250 point a month challenge, known as A Tale of Paul Gamers. Say Hi Paul does a load of narrative focused bat reps and unboxings and things, looking at products through a narrative lens. He does a live stream, well, he won't be doing it for the next couple of weeks, he said, but he usually does a live stream on a Tuesday night around 8 to 8:30 usually, UK time. And he's good fun to listen to. He rambles and he's very good natured with it. So I will quite happily pimp his channel, because he's good enough to pimp mine when I do a bat rap with him. So, well, regardless, pimp his channel is a good channel to be part of. Decent community as well. Like, really decent. There's not a wrong one amongst them. Oh, looks like it's just you tonight, Monkey. I can't say I'm massively surprised. If you don't produce for a couple of weeks, your audience kind of evaporates. Right. Okay, I've just seen something on the back which I'm going to do, and that's the Cognis marker there. I'm trying to remember which way around this goes. I think it is. I think it's Black Skull on the left. That's what we'll go with. Yeah, listen to the monkey. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Right. You watch me get this completely wrong, and it'd be the other way around. But hey. Yeah, Paul's stuff. I mean, if you like a Warhammer with a bit more of a narrative focus and less of a competition focus to it. He's definitely the man to watch. I mean, I won't say that you can't be both narrative and competitive focused, but in my experience, it's generally never the twain shall meet. And there isn't much out there that's catering solely for the narrative players. Excuse me. And Paul is that person. Right, just filling this in around the edge. I like my reactors on Admech. Well, my reactors on pretty much everything. To be Mars red. In deference to the Omniscience. In case you haven't guessed from my fandom of Paul's channel, I'm fairly narratively focused as well. On my game, I'm all about telling the story. Excuse me. No, a drink or something. Oh man, coughing ASMR. Yeah. Very peaceful. Yeah, I prefer to tell a story when I play 40k, or AOS for that matter. And I'm not usually that fussed whether I win or lose as a result. As long as a decent story is told and everyone has fun, that's generally me satisfied. I think that's a good way to be. Life is too short to be worried about min-maxing lists and getting too stressed about what is supposed to be a game. Oh, not supposed to be, it is a game. And the purpose of a game is to have fun. I'm not saying you can't have fun playing competitively. Many people do. I am not one of those people. Right, okay. I think that looks much better with the red around the guns. I'm liking that too. Just going to get a little bit of highlighting going on around the guns, and for that I'm going to use a bit of a Piston red. Don't worry about being massively neat. When I'm painting a miniature, I like to imagine a point of light starting here and sort of coming down towards the miniature. So a lot of the more of the highlights are going to be on this side of things than on this side, where the light strikes. I think you end up with better looking miniatures overall if you try and imagine a directional light source. rather than just going around the entire miniature and edge highlighting, if that makes sense. Hello, Salastar. I am good. How is Salastar? We've just been talking about the Tale of Paul Gamers over on Paul's Discord. Well, I say we. I've been talking. Moog has been responding. Salastar is also involved in this. I think. Last I checked anyway. I'm sure he'll correct me. The victim of A Tale of Paul Gamers. That was it, yes. Yes, he's painting Oryx and the Imperial Fists. Ask him, I don't know. Apparently the codex is really interesting. Right. Evil Sun Scarlets, so we'll just take the highlights up a little bit more. Evil Sun Scarlet is a layer paint, so the consistency of this is a little bit more wet and flowy. Thinner. And a little bit more translucent, I think. Although not by much. Once again, I'm just going on one side of things really, just to bring out the highlights towards the light source, the imaginary light source, which comes down from that direction. And actually does come from that direction because I have a physical light over here, which I find makes things much easier. Because I can actually see the light and shadow falling on the miniature. Doesn't approve of this action. Codexes. Codices. Not codexes. Just brightening up the highlights on his dome. going to do stuff with the Garagax sewer, wasn't I? Let's do that. I'm just going to deepen some of the stuff around the weathering. Get into some of those deeper recesses. Because we did a lot of the initial work with streaking grime, if you recall. I mean, I assume, I mean, it was that long ago, I can't honestly remember what I used, but I would assume it looks like it was streaking grime. I suppose I could have watched my video and found out exactly what I used on the previous step, but I don't tend to watch my stuff because it's got me in it. As weird as that sounds. I really don't like the sound of my own voice. So I'm just going around picking out little bits for additional shading and outlining for the weathering. Just spotting on. You can be as abstract as you like with this stuff. Dot it on here and there, just darkening down some of the chips, just to create a bit of variation more than anything else. And this Garagax sewer is my go-to for an awful lot of things, and this is one more thing that it is a go-to for. See if we can't get a line to define around the cranial dome, just to get a bit more of an outline going on. Yeah, let's just smear that off all over the gun. Clearly that's what I wanted to do. Well, that makes the head pop a little bit better. Let's get a bit of this on the rivets and make them pop. Clearly they're pop rivets. I think we're getting there. I think we are. I think we're getting there. We're getting to the point where we can dump an oil wash on it and call it almost done. onto the base. No, it's not that weird thinking about it, to dislike the sound of your own voice in a recording, but it does kind of get in the way of editing videos, which is why I don't tend to do an awful lot of pre-recorded stuff. Which is a shame, really, because it's the sort of thing that people actually do watch, the short form factor, sort of 19-20 minute things, little tutorials and what have you. So I do kind of need to get back into that. And it's not like I don't enjoy doing them, because I do. So it's not a case of I do what you enjoy, because I do enjoy doing the little shorts as well. Properly messed up. I'm liking that. Yeah. Cool. Right. Let us commence with the basing. The base for this guy is going to be a little bit like this. Is throwing miniatures all over my room. Come here, you. That. An oxide base. That's what I'm going for. And it's dead easy if you've got the right tools. What I'm going to... Oh, I suppose you could... I was going to say it's kind of useful to use pigments, and it is. But there are other ways of doing it with... let's see if I can find it. Where did I put it? Regular paint and max matte varnish. They don't look as dusty, but you can get a similar effect. Okay, put him aside. Because first we need to block in that darker colour underneath. Okay, that brush is rubbish. Looking for a decent sized brush. Probably not that one. Nope. Is that any good? Okay, do you know what that'll do? It's not entirely what I was looking for, but it will do. Let's grab a little mini palette, like that. Got dried paint in it, and a cat hair, because everything's got cat hair in it around here. I'm surprised the cat's got cat hair in him. Dip that in there. I'm just going to hit up the top. I'm using black primer because that's what I had to hand. And having examined earlier, I'm actually running out of the contrast paint I would normally use for this, which ironically enough, seeing as I'm using black paint, is actually Basilicanum grey. I'm running out of that, so I'm using this instead. Let's get a little bit. Add a bit of moisture on that brush, so the paint goes a little bit further. So that's just to darken it down and get a base for shadows and whatnot. It's a little bit wobbly. So I think it looks better already, just that. But of course we're not done yet. We need that dry now. Dry now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it up with a hairdryer, but I'm going to turn off the sound so that I'm not busting anyone's eardrums. One moment. And that, in case you couldn't read it, says the pot and the surface of the miniature must be warm to the touch. So I was warming it up with the hairdryer. Oops, sorry about that. There's a metal ball in here that needs to be rattling around like so to get it properly mixed up. There we go. Right. That's my number 4 brush. Right. Let's get a bit of that out. What we're going to do is we're going to hit up that rock. Maybe that rock as well. Maybe that one as well. create a bit of a rust field around one side of the. Let's see what's going on. I go from not enough light to too much light and back again. So it's as if the rust field goes off the side of the base. Nothing too regular. There's another rock there. Let's hit that up as well and get a bit more rust dabbing going on around there. So a few blotches of rust, and we'll leave that at that. Whilst we look at that, is there anywhere on the miniature that needs a little bit of rust? Oh, maybe just on there. And there. Because of that Adeptus Mechanicus, and they are kind of taken care of more than most other things in the 40k universe. And I'm going to go over the top with rust on the miniature itself. Right. So that product will kind of do its thing. I'll just give that brush a bit of a wash. And over the course of the next sort of 5 minutes, it will hopefully create a nice rust colour. And what we're going to do now is grab a little bit of. Come here. Oh, don't defy me. Come here. Right. A little bit of lilac oxide. Give that a really good shake. Right. The thing to bear in mind with these bases is they are not in any way realistic. You're very unlikely to see these two ores side by side. But the surface of Metallica is supposed to be metallic. So we're just going to go with that. Give that a dip of water, spread it out a bit. And once again, we're just going to hit up blotches of colour. Hoeth blue, really thin, followed by night haunt gloom. Ooh, okay. I do have some night haunt gloom somewhere. That stuff. Huh. I'll be interested to see how they turn out. Right. We will also throw into a mix a little bit of that, which is basically just turquoise paint with a little bit of strange medium in it and quite a matte finish. What can I use as a palette? Just off to the side of that maybe. So just throwing in there a little bit more sort of vivid ore colour. Notice I'm just sort of dabbing that on, creating sort of irregular colours, shapes. Right. That's that done. Doesn't need any green, I think it does. Right, same story. Got some verdigris. I'm just popping that in there. Palette just off screen, just going to grab a bit of that, smash that around. There we are. Go. Small brush and magnify. Right. You know, you don't absolutely need a small brush. You can get away with doing quite fine detail with, I mean, even something like that, as long as it comes to a point. You can actually paint for longer with a bigger brush because it holds more paint. A bit of this as well, which is the same as that, but verdigris. Just going to throw that around as well. Go. There's those colours down. This is where the magic starts to happen. Grab a small dry brush, some bronze paint. Well, this is actually brass, but and some of my usual duraluminum. Made the error to paint the metal first. I don't think that's an error. I think you did the right thing there. Because the wood tends to be a little bit raised from the metal. It's probably easiest to paint the wood after the metal. Same as you start with the, when you're painting a miniature, you start with the deepest texture and work out with deepest surface and then work outwards. that's a bit of duro-aluminium. Just going to get that on the gun up there, just so we get a bit more metallic going on there. I'm just going to hit up some of the rocks. Just get a hint of metal going on, even over the rust. Do you see? A little bit of a hit of that pretty much everywhere. Let's get a little bit of that brass. Perfect. And where I've hit up the copper oxide, just throw a bit of that down as well. Just gives it a little bit of a glint and a little bit of interest before we wreck it all by putting down pigments. So the other thing that I'm going to do, because it didn't actually do what I thought it was going to do, just get a little bit of Troll Slayer orange, dip in there a sec. Most of that off. On those rocks I'm just going to hit up with a little bit of this, because that dirty down rust for some reason didn't quite deliver on colour. Which is a first. Normally it does. Normally it looks spot on for rust. I don't know whether I got a bad batch or what, but it is what it is. Right, pigments. This is where it all starts to come together. So just grab a dyeing brush. It's still got a bit of bounce to it. Sometimes use this for a bit of careful dry brushing, but it's perfect for this. Pigments are messy. Pigments are very messy because they're basically the powder that you make paint with. But what they do is they give a super powdery, oddly enough, finish, and also super matte. Dab this on just to give little spots of colour, maybe suggesting a different oxide. Blending over those transitions as well between the rust and the copper. There we go. And that's literally all you need there. What I might do, actually, let's just grab a bit more. bring the miniature into the setting a little bit by just dumping a bit of pigment around on his legs, just to give a little bit of... So it's going to sell as dust, it's also going to sell as a bit of reflected light. Quite subtle, but you can just about make out the bluish tinge on his feet. Right, that's the blue done. And rust. And that's much better, that kind of brings things alive like that. Doesn't that pop? Orange and turquoise side by side, just colour-wise, are just going to bring it together. Bring some lovely contrast to the miniature and to the look of the thing. Right, I'm just going to give this a quick wipe over because we're going to finish that off, almost finish it off, with another pigment. This is a generic sort of light soil colour. So yeah, if you ever wondered about pigments and whether or not to pull the trigger on them, I would suggest doing so, because they do what they do. Bring things together. Now, you can get a pigment fixer which will lock the pigment in place, but I have never really experienced a problem with this stuff rubbing off or anything like that. Just give it a bit of a... just get the worst of it off, and that's probably going to be fine for you. I find the fixer, which looks like... I mean, I don't know where it is. That's how often I use it. Is that it? No. Am I kidding? It looks like that, but with pigment fixer written on it. You just dab that on and it sort of binds the pigment together and seals it. Just give that a quick rub off, matron. Do the base rim, which for these is Abaddon Black. I've started breaking into things like Steel Legion Drab recently, but mainly for my goblins. Generally I tend to paint my base rims with black. Either Abaddon Black from Citadel, which has a kind of a soft satin finish, or if I'm after a more matte finish, I use Army Painter Matte Black, which is brilliant. Probably one of the best matte black paints I've encountered. And that's weird, because AP get an awful lot of stick for the quality of their paints, and it's undeserved. They are what they are. Right, give that a bit of a wash. Okay, where can we go from there? A bit of extra weathering on the gun, maybe? Yeah, right, let's do that. Okay, that's a 00, I don't need that. I need my 0, where'd the 0 go? That's not the 0. Is that the 0? That's a 0. That's a dead 0, I'll use that. Right. And here I go with my pills and potions. I love my non-standard Games Workshop products. These aren't even Games Workshop products. That's how non-standard they are. This is oil and grime, so I'm just flicking that around the ends of the guns and around the cooler. Just dab it around the cartridge ejection port. Finger, just rub that off.
Check VIP in your Discord for the Hoeth and Nighthaunt result.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Bucky. That was much appreciated. I will do that. There we go. I love these bases. All my knights are done with these bases. All my Admech are slowly coming over to these bases as well. I think they look absolutely smashing. A lot better than your average sort of red Martian crackle base or your urban rubble. They really make a statement. Bases and faces, so they say. If you get the base right and you get the face right, people tend not to mind too much about the rest of the miniature, and that's certainly true. The face on this guy took a little bit of time to get that sort of slight glow behind glass look. That looks quite cool, and the base just sets it off, I think. So that's the oh, we've got like an hour left. Huh. What am I going to do with an hour? Well, let's showcase him a bit more and sort of turn him from side to side, and yeah, because he's cool. Yeah. anything else to work on? I mean, the short answer is yes. But I know what I can do. I know what I can do. Right, okay. That's a 40mm base. I know what I can do. Yes. Let's do this thing. Let's do this thing that I know what I can do. I'll pop that over there. We're going to do some basing. We're going to do some basing and we're going to create a base that does not exist. Which is... oh, how dead is that? Wow. Well, that's good because I need a dead brush. Possibly not that dead. You dead? Dude, don't be dead, dude. No, not filming one. Right, okay. Yeah, we'll use that one. Excellent, right. Tamiya extra thin cement. You will need. You will also need. Right, okay, here's what we're doing. This is one of the new bases from the Void War set. Comes in a box like that. It says Void War bases on it. And in that box there are 20 25mm bases. There are 20 28mm bases. And there are 20 32mm bases. And that's it. There are no 40mm bases. There are, however, let's just grab those because I've got 2 boxes of this. Oops. There, okay, 19 32mm bases. Assuming I can't find that anymore. There are, however, little bits of debris and grills and little bits of grid and things like that. So we are going to make a 40mm base. We're going to do that. Clip in some of these bits of debris off, like that. Maybe that. Yeah, and I kind of like that. Yeah. Oh, that's cool too. No, we'll leave that. Probably not that. That might work. That might definitely work. We'll use that. Have that. It's a little gauge type thing. Now 40mm bases are quite useful in 40k because terminators stand on them. Now, there's one thing that is iconic for stomping around in Space Hulk, it is probably not orcs, not even more orcs. It is probably the humble Terminator, and them producing a range of Space Hulk bases, or Gene Stealers, yeah, you could say Gene Stealers as well, yeah, but I don't paint Gene Stealers. To produce a range of bases for a Space Hulk environment and not have a 40mm base. Is that a GW 40? Yes, it is, I think, a little bit of an oversight. So, what I have been doing is... So I'm just looking at sprues and things. You'll see why in a minute. No, that's not right. That's not going to be any good. That might work. Yeah. Yeah, buddy. That'll do it. Yep. Okay, right. Okay. Put a little bit of sprue there. And what we are going to do is, yeah, I think we'll do... Isn't it? Yeah. Yep, okay, we'll do that. Right, okay. Snip all these little knobbly bits off. Matron. Actually, I'm not as happy with that as I thought I was going to be. Please hold. Please hold. Oh, that's not what I needed. Nope. That's not what I needed. You would have thought, with the room literally brimming with... there we are. There we go. Right, there's the bits that I'm after. Right, okay. These sprues have a slight sort of trapezoidal cross section. There's a word. And it's better for these purposes. Get rid of that head. Just sit over there for a bit. Revealing state secrets here. This is so easy, everyone's going to be doing it. And Games Workshop will release a 40mm base for Void War, and nobody will want one because everyone will be doing this. Because recycling plastic that you would otherwise throw away. Ha! Throw away. Like we ever throw anything away. Quick bit of lubrication there. Right. Click that knobble off. And that knobble. That knobble, and that knobble, and we're just going to go grab the hobby knife, which should probably be a lot sharper than it is. Remember when you were a kid and they told you to always cut away from yourself with a knife? You get a lot more control like this. You've got to be an awful lot more careful, but I wouldn't want to do that with a craft knife. You've got no control at all. maybe slip up and open myself up live on a live stream. Trick with this is not to do any grand gestures with it. It's got to be cutting as little as possible, little and often. Kind of want to be shaving with it. What we're going to do is cut a few notches out of it as well. Sort of weathering to it. Damage. And then what am I going to do with that? Okay, that's about that sort of angle, isn't it? Matching the angle of the cross section there. You see what I mean? So I can butt that up against there, and it will glue together, flush as a cross on the base, like so. So you away, you get that, you get open. Decent sized brush in there, so I get that in there, all over the base. There we go. Yeah? How cool is that? Done. Now what? Oh, right, okay. Glue that there. Now you can see what that little bit of a trapezoidal cross section does for you, as it creates that gap, which looks really cool. Let's get a bit more of that on there. I'll use the big brush for a reason. There's a little bit of moulded damage there to that panel, a little bit bent, but that's fine, it adds to it. There we go. Some more glue on there, blending that together, because you can do that because this glue melts the plastic. You can use that property to basically weld the plastic together and get the gaps covered up. Sometimes. Today is not that day. Leave that for a little bit. And I don't think these are going to prove to be as useful as I thought they were going to be, which is a shame. Could maybe get that in there. Yeah. Yeah, that's not going to lose too much off the edge there, that's good. Oh, actually, if I spin that around and do that, that's going to lose a bit off the corner as well. What about there? No, we're still going to lose a bit of that corner. Don't know whether I like that. Yeah, I think that's probably the best of the lot. Just stick it there. Right. Another bit of sprue there. Just stick that alongside that. For no other reason, we are greebling at this point. Adding of the greeblies. If you don't know what that means, watch more Adam Savage. I think I need another little bit of a floor panel with a bit of a corner on it. Comme ça, I believe. Let's get that out of the way. Because there is a literal corner just there, so we'll have that. Doesn't look quite right because it's a different alignment. Hang on a minute. No. Oh yes. The correct alignment and everything. Nice, nice, nice. Right, we'll just wait for that to dry. But you can see where this is going. Because we've gone from a plain 40mm base to a 40mm base, which for all the world looks like it's part of that set. For not much effort, I'm sure you will agree. Right. The next stage is to carefully snip around the edge . This isn't as much of a waste these sections as you might think, because you do get to save quite a bit of them for use on other things. Okay. Finally not working. Oh, welcome to the party. Welcome to the party, Garrison Kunst. So the idea here is we're just trimming off the edge of this base, so you end up with a round base. And these bits can head for the bits box, because I'm sure we can find a use for something like this when we're making another base. Definitely can use that, because in fact we'll use that on this base. Garrison Kunst, I'm afraid if you've come for the for this guy, we kind of finished him in an hour, and I've moved on to other things. So I'm just doing a little bit of random basing to fill the time for the next sort of half hour or so. So you'll be able to watch back once we're done here. But that's why I'm not doing an Admech, if that's what you were expecting. Right, I mean, look at that. That's just, oh, really nice, colourful, oxide-looking base. Love that lots. For that, I use these pigments, amongst other things. These are Abteilung 502 pigments. And what else did I use? The other pigment I used was the AK one. I'm sure Abteilung does one of a similar colour. It's Middle East soil. But yeah, I'm almost certain they do a similar one if you want to buy from Abteilung. Okay, right, so that's all that chipped off and trimmed. We are going to reach for something which doesn't often come out here. And that is a little bit of the bit of Monica by your side. There we are. Sandpaper. I'm just going to have at it around the edge. I'm loving that it's kind of Space Hulk stuff to do, to be honest. I'm really so looking forward to actually playing some of this stuff. do, because I chipped the corner off that thing, and it's got a little bit of a hole there, so we're going to fill that with something. We'll just cover it over. A tiny little sliver of sprue ought to do it. Oops. I'm not using the right tool for this job, am I? Let's do that. So just a little sliver, like so. We'll just pop that over, press it in. I got really excited when I saw that they were starting to do specific Space Hulk type boarding action stuff, because I'm a fairly narrative player at heart, and I just got so many ideas for stories I could tell with boarding action stuff. What do I do when I'm in a hobby slump? Well, I let myself be in a slump, to be honest. The way I look at things, I think it's a fairly healthy attitude to have, is I do this for fun. If I'm in a hobby slump for any reason, it's because what I'm doing hobby-wise isn't fun at that precise moment in time, and that's okay, because it's a hobby at the end of the day. And if you force yourself to do a hobby, at that point it ceases being a hobby, really. It starts turning into a bit of a job that you're not getting paid for. I mean, unless you do commissions, I suppose. Which tends to, you end up resenting it even more, and the slump just goes down and down and down. So yeah, I mean, what I tend to do is just take a step back. If I'm not feeling it, I'm not feeling it, so I step away. Part of the reason I've not been streaming for about a month is because I hit a little bit of a slump. Now, there were other things going on in my life as well, but mainly it was, well, I just couldn't be bothered, to be honest. I was looking at my miniatures and not getting a lot of inspiration from them, and I thought, well, okay, I mean, I'm not going to force myself. I do this for fun. If I'm not having fun, then step away for a bit. It's fine. And I found my mojo again. Because eventually, after a while, you'll miss it, and you'll get back into it quite naturally. So there we go. That's what I do when I'm in a hobby slump. I let myself slump. I hope that makes sense. So that's that little bit of debris I was going to use on the base. So I thought, well, I'll use it on the base. Right. What should we do with that? Shall we paint it? Let's paint it. Let's paint it, by Jove. By Jove and Jehoshaphat and all other things. Right. So we're going to hit it up with some primer first. I'm not going to use the airbrush for any of this, because I realise I use the airbrush a lot, and not everyone has an airbrush. So I will grab myself, I shall use that. I'll just run my cloth around that. I mean, further to that advice about hobby slumping, if the hobby slumping itself is making you feel even worse about things, then you need to bite the bullet and go and see someone, because you probably need some help. And there's no shame in that, you know. I'm assuming most of us here are guys, and we're really hard on ourselves when it comes to mental health and dealing with mental health, which makes things even worse. There's this culture, which I'm sure most of you will be aware of, where you bottle things up. You don't talk about mental health. You don't let on that you're suffering. You soldier on through. There, the prime example. Soldier on through. There's this thing where you can, if you're man enough, you can push through it. Well, gentlemen and ladies, if there are ladies out there as well, you probably need to be aware of this as well. Don't push through it. If you're feeling down, if you're feeling stressed, that is your body's way of telling you there is something wrong. You're not weak. Your body is working correctly, letting you know there is something wrong, letting you know that you need to stop, you need to take stock of what's going on, and if you need to, sometimes you don't need to, get some help. Get some clarity. Step away from the problem, get another perspective. You don't have to push through it alone. Despite what years and years and years of male social conditioning has told you. No man is an island. Here endeth that sermon. But seriously guys, if you're struggling, get help. Right, so this is surface primer. It normally goes through my airbrush, but I'm not going to use my airbrush now, just to demonstrate that it doesn't. You don't have to use an airbrush for everything I do. So I've got what I usually use for dry brushing, and I'm just stippling it on to get a good amount of coverage. Doing it this way, you get a little bit of texture on there as well, which is good. And at that point, once the primer's on, I'll show you what I mean. This is a GW base. Once the primer's on, put them side by side, you'd never know. I mean, I appreciate whilst they're slightly out of focus, they all look like black bases. I'll hold them up in a minute. Well, Monkey, I think, is it helping? Is it helping? Sometimes you need to bring these things to the forefront of your mind. you're seeing a therapist. I hope that's helping you. Oh, sorry. Just drop the audio a sec. Right, back in the room. Yeah, work's a massive source of stress for a lot of people. I'm not a trained therapist. I wouldn't even pretend to be a trained therapist. So I'm glad that you are seeing a therapist to help you through it. And sometimes, if it's not helping, you might need to see a different therapist. It's not that therapy doesn't work; it's that you might not be getting the right chemistry with your therapist to bring that out. So keep plugging at it. The first and most important step is seeking help, and you've done that. So that's good. Have you spoken to your work about where you are and how that feels? How it feels to work there? Because, well, I know a lot of labour laws over here came over from EU, so I'd imagine they'd be similar in Germany. But your employer is legally obliged to, if there's any reasonable adjustments they can make, they're obliged to try. So if there's something that's particularly stressing you out, it's a good idea to have a word with your employer. Right, so what I've just done there is I've put a little bit of this on my dry brush, and I'm not even dry brushing, I'm just sort of stippling it on, and you get a worn, weathered metal texture coming through in the paint. Right there, that looks like brush metal. I'm just going to grab a little bit of Stormhouse silver, so there's lightly flicking over that to give a extra little bit of level of colour. So notice this is all done with makeup brush. Every last bit of it, to get the base colours down at least. Give that a wipe through. Yeah, I mean, I'm in a small team myself. happily we work quite well together, but I think there's an extra level of stress to working in a very small team. I mean, I know personally that I feel that whereas I might want to take leave, I can't take leave because I'm in a small team. I know I can take leave. Legally, I can take leave. But it's always in the back of your mind, oh, you're letting people down because it's a small team. If you step away for a few days, that nothing will get done, or you're being a burden on it all preys on your mind. If your mind is that way inclined, and mine is, I freely admit. Hey man, rant away. I won't say what we're here for, but feel free, get it off your chest. I would sooner you do that than not get it off your chest and for it to prey on you even more, so you end up in an even more uncomfortable position. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. I know I've been there. I know a lot of guys go there far more often than they really should, because that's modern life, man. That's modern life. We're our own worst enemies, really, a lot of the time. All this I don't normally swear. I'm trying not to swear now, but this lad culture, this toxic masculine, just like, guys, it's not big, it's not clever, just leave it alone. Right, I'm losing track of what I'm doing here. What I'm doing here is, if you're not watched any of my streams before, this is equal parts Agrax with Seraphim Sepia with just a drop of Druky Violet? No, not Druky Violet, the blue one. Draken Half Nightshade, that's the one, just to cool it down a bit, and then top it up with Lamia Medium, and you end up with a decent, fairly all-purpose wash. Which you can either slap over everything, which is fun, or just dump in the recesses, which is what I'm trying to do here. I mean, you can just pop that around to get little points of colour and interest, which is quite good. And that will just dry. It dries. If you use a hair dryer, it will dry with a kind of slightly satiny glossy sheen. If you leave it to dry naturally, it'll still be satin but slightly more matte. That is also a property of contrast paint. If you want a gloss finish or a more glossy finish, take a hair dryer to it. Yes, mate. Hobby is a brilliant way out. Access to respite, but sometimes it don't work. Like I said earlier, it's just important not to get stressed about your hobby, because if you end up getting stressed about something you do for fun, then well, then where have you got left to go? So don't let it stress you. There we go. Just dump that in there as well. That's an oily, grimy finish, right? Still got some of the primer in it, so what I'm going to do is just do the base rim. This one, I don't know why I'm doing that. I've not got anything that needs a 32mm base. It's just there and I was painting it. One of the reasons I do an awful lot of weathering in my miniatures is I find the process of doing that weathering, of trying to create something that looks, create something from something that is definitely not real, and creating something that kind of looks like it might be real is quite a relaxing process. So it's very easy to get. I don't do it on live stream because it's kind of time limited, but if you actually get into the weathering and thinking about it and telling a story with the miniature, okay, what did that, how can we make it look like whatever it is that did that actually did that, and actually telling little stories with what you're doing on the miniature, it's yeah, it's like meditation. It's crazy. But I have quite a selection of tricks and pills and potions for doing weathering and stuff that I've built over the past couple of years since I started doing the hobby again. Like that streaking grime is fantastic stuff, and they really do help. But you can do most of these things with acrylic paint from Games Workshop. Alpha Legion Night Lords, Word Bearers, or a custom chapter. Custom traitor chapter, I take it. So we're going to add a further bit of interest to this by adding in some different colours. So I'll use a little bit of the brass I used earlier. Should that be brass? Oh, it's brass now. Ugh. Corax white, ladies and gentlemen. Oh God, it's terrible. Just separates. Let's give it a good shake. Scooch in a bit. One of the problems with painting on a live stream is I'm not sat in what would normally be a normal painting position for me. Which cuts down on the amount of time I can spend painting and how comfortable it is. Everything flying. Just nudged it a little bit. Gauge going on that. That's a good approach, doing a sergeant for each of them. It used to be that you just do a kill team for each, and then it would inevitably turn into an army. I've done that a few times. That's how I ended up with word bearers and how else did I get started? Yeah, blood ravens. I ended up doing blood ravens. That started with a kill team. It started with a kill team. just dab a little bit of neat paint, do aluminium paint around the edges. If you dot it on, it'll look battered and dinged up, which is what we're going for. And I think I'm kind of happy with that. Kind of happy. Oh, I know why I didn't want to put that thing on there. Because it's a base for this guy. And he is not going to stand on that. Oh well, I'll have to do another one. Oh dear. Let's get a little bit of rust on there. We don't want too much on there. Just around maybe some of the rivets. Because this is on a space hulk, there'll be some moisture around. It's not going to be massively rusty, unless I don't know whether it's a water pipe or something like that, or there's a water pipe nearby. But this dirty down rust does add another bit of colour and interest to things, so it's a useful tool in that respect. And I think, having had a look at the time, I'm going to call it that. It is nice to get back into the swing of things after a month away. I'm happy that I could. I'm happy that people turned out to see me. I wasn't expecting anyone really. But I'm glad that people did show up. And hopefully I'll be able to keep on top of things, and I'll be back with another one next week. We shall see. We shall see. Garrison, if you're not in my Discord, why not? There's a link in my channel description, I think. And if not, there's one in this video description, I think. And if there's not, then drop a comment in for this video, and I'll make sure there is for next time. And then you can carry on talking to Sarcastic Monkey and Salistar and various other people on my Discord. I'd like the sound of that. Right, I'm going to call it there. This guy's kind of cool. I like him. Yeah, thanks for joining me. If you're new to the channel and you've not subscribed, please do so. That's really super cool and helps the channel grow. Please like and comment and share and just be good to each other. Go out there and do something nice for someone. Someone you don't know. Just go out and be nice to them. Spread the love a bit. Alright folks. Ta-ta for now.